It can be a challenge to find good living books that make ancient times come alive in your students' imaginations, but also paint an accurate picture of what life was like for people who lived in those times. I'm excited to share with you some of my favorite titles that accomplish both of those objectives admirably. Welcome to the Simply Charlotte Mason podcast. I'm Sonia Schaefer. The two books that I'm going to share today are featured in our new history curriculum, A Pageant of History. It's a 4-year history series that covers ancient times, the Middle Ages, early modern, and modern times. In the curriculum, you will find book lists, reading schedules, narration prompts, Book of Centuries entries, fascinating historical pictures and maps, and much more. It's designed for your whole family to study the same time period together. Some of the books you will read aloud to all of your students combined, and other books will be assigned to elementary, middle school, and high school students to read individually. The books I'm going to share today are the ones we recommend you read to the whole family together in the Ancient Times study. Check the description for a link to learn more about A Pageant of History curriculum. And be sure to subscribe to this podcast if you haven't already. All right, let's dive in. Ancient Egypt and Her Neighbors by Lorene Lambert. I love it when a history book gives you a sweeping perspective of what was happening all around the world during a time period, and this book does just that. Of course, it does a masterful job of helping you learn about the ancient Egyptian history and culture, but it doesn't ignore the rest of the world. It includes chapters on ancient Egypt's neighbors, too, and it tucks into each one a fascinating story about that part of the world. Your students will discover why a tiny carved cylinder was so important to ancient Sumerians. They'll ponder the puzzle of a vanished people in the Indus Valley, whose writing we still can't decipher. They will hear how a stone finger pointing to the sky in ancient Babylon influenced our system of justice today, and why writing on turtle shells assured a lasting dynasty in ancient China, and many more stories of ancient civilizations. You'll find a helpful pronunciation guide in the back. Some of these ancient names are challenging. Or you can grab the audiobook of this wonderful title. On the Edge of the Great Sea, A History of Ancient Greece and Rome, compiled and edited by Katie Thacker. I am so excited about this book for a couple of reasons. Well, first, let me give you some background. There are several good older books that tell the stories of ancient times in a living way. But as we've used them over the years, we've begun to stumble over a couple of issues. It seems that the vast majority of the narrative focuses on battles. Students can get the unspoken idea that ancient times were just a series of battles, rather than people like you and me going about their daily lives in ways that are similar to, yet different from us. The other issue that is becoming more and more pronounced is that those older books often mix fact with fiction. As technology becomes more advanced, we are learning more about ancient civilizations, and as a consequence, we are able to more clearly discern what is actual history and what is most likely legend. So as we were discussing these challenges and looking for a trustworthy, up-to-date, living narrative that we could recommend, we got an idea. There is still much that is good in those older narratives. Why couldn't we pull together the best parts and compile a book that retains that wonderful style of writing and yet includes those clarifications that are needed? The result is On the Edge of the Great Sea, A History of Ancient Greece and Rome. Katie Thacker has gone through several favorite older sources of living narratives on ancient Greece and Rome and has pulled the best chapters, compiling them into chronological order and editing the details in order to help them reflect what has been more recently learned. With great skill and care, she has woven it together into a collection that focuses on the people and ideas of the ancient world, more than just the battles and legends. Here's what she said about that process. In putting together this book, I chose to prioritize ideas, inviting students to think about pursuit and lack of character, the ways in which humanity has progressed and regressed, and how, in so many ways, we are still faced with the same obstacles that confronted our earliest relatives. I looked for material from writers who loved learning about ancient societies and shared those stories with passion. Your students will hear stories of how the Greeks became the Greeks, about the early rulers of that civilization, the legends of Troy, how the Romans arrived in Rome, about the poet Homer and his tales, the life of the Spartans and the first Olympics. You'll read about Romulus and Remus, the theater of the Greeks, the kings of Rome and the Roman Republic, as well as the lives of the Athenians. Your students will learn of Cincinnatus, of Pericles and Socrates, of Alexander the Great, Archimedes, Hannibal, Cicero, Caesar, and many other famous people of ancient times. And they'll read about the Christians in Rome, the Emperor Nero, and the Colosseum. It's a narrative that is familiar and yet new, seamlessly intertwining the best of the older favorite living stories with modern discoveries and clarity, from the first peoples of Greece to the fall of Rome. On the Edge of the Great Sea. Don't miss it. Next time, I'll be sharing our favorite books for elementary students, those in grades 1 through 4 who are studying ancient times. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time.